Well, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Okay, we are here at DTT to continue sharing with you the Chan instructions during the summer tea here. And you probably can't see it very well, but someone here is shaking a lot. Even though when people around are scattered, he's still shaking like crazy. And let me tell you, that's not normal. In what way? I remember when I was practicing at Master YongHua's temples, after about a couple of years ago, I started shaking too while listening to his lecture. We used to play his tapes on the City 10,000 Buddhas every night, and they would play it in Chinese, and someone would translate into English. And back then, after maybe not a year, after 2.5 years or so, 3.5 years maybe, I started shaking, and I didn't know what to do. It's too embarrassing to sit there and all of a sudden you go like this. And so it's not as bad as Dang is doing here, or a lot of you are, the way you guys are shaking is kind of scary. Xianfa used to go crazy, in Korea, at her master's temples. It's just abnormal, just scary, as if you're possessed by a ghost. Maybe they are, we don't know for sure. Okay. But it's cause of concern for most people in most places, even at my mass temples. They couldn't tell me what it was, what was the problem. And I heard even now, some people are shaking after a long time of Chan practices. They still haven't resolved the shaking issue. And so there's a reason why you're shaking. I'm not teaching any of you. Okay? Naturally, you will outgrow it. The shaking is very good for you, and you naturally outgrow it. I remember also teaching my ex-disciple's friend, I think is Australia or something. She's Vietnamese, married to an Australian lawyer, and she never came to Wei Mountain Temple, but she was learning meditation, and she followed the instruction from my ex-disciples, and she started shaking like crazy. She would make a shake, and she would shake and move around circle, 360 degrees rotation like this. And she kept on asking, it got worse and worse. She kept on asking why, she should be worried or not. And I laughed, I said, it's a good thing, don't worry. So I was testing her faith. You believe me or not? And after a year of shaking or so, she quit. And she went back to half lotus when the shaking stopped completely. And so, you see, you're so lucky that you have the proper instructions in your Chan practice. You practice Chan, you run to different states that are kind of confusing, scary at times, and that's when you need help. That's what the instructors are supposed to help you. If they understand Chan, they know why it's happening. Okay, and you can stop it instantaneously as well. But why should you? It's good for him. Why do you want to stop it? And so, you see, The Chan practice is really has many different states, and unless you know what you're doing, it's kind of discouraging. You get discouraged from continuing. For example, the people in Korea who practice Hua-To, I'm pretty sure they have very scary states too, and they wouldn't know what to do with it. Okay, and the further they got, I think even when they got a little bit higher in Korea, eventually they run to states they cannot resolve. Okay, so that's why when Master YongHua passed, that Chan knowledge was lost. Okay, so that's why the translation, all the disciples of my generation were not able to address those Chan states. Okay, and so consider yourself fortunate to be able to go to a place and just practice and practice in confidence. You have nothing to worry about. Okay, yeah, it's a very good thing. Yeah, all these states that you're experiencing. All right, any questions or comments tonight? Yes, back there, nueve or is it ocho? She doesn't know Spanish clearly. Is it 9 or 8? 9.
Hello?
Is your fever gone too or still there?
Yeah, fever is gone. Just a little bit of cough.
Oh, that's fast.
Mm.
Yeah, usually it takes a little bit longer.
Only 2 days. It's not bad.
I heard a week or 2. Oh, anyway, it's different for Canadians. Yes, go ahead, 9.
Okay, I felt follow schedule a little bit harder than long sit. In the master's second Chan handbook mentioned, when we have our Chan qis, we don't stretch before sitting. Rather, we use different stretches as we progress deeper in the Chan qi in order to provide quick relief to the affected areas. The example, like we stretch upper torso in order to supplement the walking. Could Master explain more about the different stretches? Thank you.
Did I say that? My God. When you meditate daily, then what we recommend, now we're going back to the corporate line, we recommend that you do stretching because it helps ease you into meditation a lot faster, and the sit will be a lot more pleasant for you. It's just like when you exercise, you want to warm up. You don't warm up, you're more prone to getting cramps and getting not be able to obtain a peak performance if you don't warm up properly. Okay. Similarly with Chan, the way I learn is you just sit down and you do it. But I found out that stretching really helps the sit a lot more than people realize. And in particular, the stretching actually is not a waste of time. Actually, it helps you enter samadhi easier too. Okay, so in a way, it's very useful. If you were for your daily practice, you only have an hour. You can only put aside 1 hour to meditate. It helps to stretch a little bit, but you don't have to. But during a Chan Qi, basically, you meditate all day, so it doesn't matter. The stretching will have very superficial results. It's not the purpose of the Chan Qi. A Chan Qi is not, the purpose is not for you to go through the drill for 1 hour. The drill for Chan Qi is the entire day. So that's why in that case, you don't really need to do stretching at all. It's contrary to the objective, the purpose of doing a Chanqi. However, if you sit and you sit because basically sitting is more a lower part of your body, and your upper part, you will have chi blockages. For example, those you who are engineers, programmers, people who work at their desk often during the day, very long during the day, you tend to have knots in your back, in your arms, in your shoulders. Okay, so while meditating during Chanqi will help unblock those blockages. However, it's also helpful for you to also do some stretching, okay, or some exercises during the Bao Xiang, the walking or the running. Okay, and so basically, and I learned from Master Xinhua. Basically, he would walk and he would move. He would exercise the upper body. Okay, arms and shoulders and so forth. He would walk like this. He would exaggerate it, moving, swinging his arms. Okay, like this. I like to go this because it's even more strenuous. Okay, and that's would be helpful to you, but make sure you don't hit anyone around you. That's not helpful to you when you hit someone. That's about it. If you have other issues, you can also do more stretching for specific areas where you have blockages. Okay, it's individual, by individual. All right, 5.
Oh, Master, I had a question about one of the 7 principles from yesterday. I was reviewing the principles, and one question I had was on the no self-indulgence principle.
Yes.
If someone enjoys listening to Dharma talks, and they listen to Dharma talks, is that considered self-indulgence?
No, that's very healthy. It's very good self-indulgence. You indulge in something that's good for you. When we talk about no self-indulgence, it's referring to the kind of self-indulgences that are bad for you, such as drinking, such as chemical drugs, smoking, such activities. So from the fundamental foundation, from the foundation perspective, as long as you avoid those negative self-indulgences, then you're okay. When you get a little bit higher, then it's a different kind of thing, where after you become enlightened, then those 7 principles are practiced at a different slant, different perspective. Okay, Buddhism is always not skewed at all. Buddhism has always had plus and minuses. So what we're teaching you are tips, or secret recipes for you to get there quickly. And once you get there, we teach you furthermore. So it's not like we are able to teach you everything yet. Very much like the Buddha when he taught Buddhism. When he brought Buddhism to our world, he started by teaching the Agama store, which is basically child's play. For people with very low potentials, very, very low potentials. And that's why if you look at that and say, this is Buddhism, then you are quite wrong. Same thing. When we teach you the 6 principles, the way I explained to you, they're just the foundations. But beyond that, there's more, a lot more. Okay? Become enlightened, reach enlightenment, meaning when I'm talking about enlightenment, I'm not talking about 4th stage Arhat. It's too low for us. You have too many of them, just to brag a little. It's when you get first round, then eventually you begin to be able to look at the instructions from different lights that you cannot see before. That's when you get deeper and deeper into why. And then you understand why we teach you not to fight, for example. Okay, then the principles begin to make more sense to you from a teacher perspective. And for you to get higher, you will have to understand the intricacies and the subtleties of such things as well. Okay? All right, anyone else? Okay. It's great. I don't know. I don't know how to express my pleasure in being able to share all this Chinese wisdom with you for the last 15, 16 years, 17 years now, going 17 years now, and it's incredible. It's just delightful to me personally because I myself, I went through all the various levels. I learned when I first started to learn this. I was very confused. Okay, couldn't understand most of the Chinese I heard anyway, but it sunk in eventually. And as I made progress through. At some point in time, I tell you, I was so scared because what I read in Master YongHua and those things where you reach third dhyana, it's very easy to get stuck. So when I realized I reached third dhyana, I rushed through it so quickly. I got to fourth within 1 or 2 days. So you see, it's a lot of things that you don't have to be confused about. Okay, we took out a lot of these issues that are really not a big deal. And why people make a big deal of it, I don't understand. And when I got to, you probably guessed it already. When I got to third stage Arhat, okay, I realized I got to first stage Arhat. And Master YongHua, one of his disciples who apparently has been watching me cultivate, must have a lot of free time. And he came to me and he said, now the next step is so hard for you. Are you going to really struggle? So I said, really? Oh my God, yeah. He's probably one of the more knowledgeable disciples that I've talked to, and more so than all the others. So I said, wow, that's scary. If I have to struggle for so long, then it's not good. So I worked very hard, and took me about 2.5 months to make it a 4th stage Arhat. Yeah, I'm 4th stage Arhat. I'm not enlightened, but I'm 4th stage Arhat, I think. and then now looking back, I say, what an idiot. If he didn't tell me, I could have gone through it a lot quicker. Because what happened is that when someone you look up to, and you know it's an authority, the highest authority you know of Master YongHua's Dharma, who care enough to say, oh boy, I'm warning you, it's going to be a tough patch of road ahead. And I said, God, he must know what he's talking about. And because of that, he planted doubts in my head. It's supposed to be very hard. But it's not about hard or easy. It's about knowing what to do. When you have a problem, what do you do to solve the problem, to rise above the problem besides what? When you have a problem, what do you do? What do you do when you have a problem? Come on. What? You call Mama? What do you say? Huh? 5.
Master, I when I run into problems, usually I just sit and cross my legs if I can, and if I can't, then I recite a mantra.
My dad, our late father, he used to call Wanyin Bodhisattva often when he had a problem. Wanyin Bodhisattva, help me out! Away mountain.
Thank you, Master. I call 1-800 my good knowing advisor.
That's what some people did. And guess what? He didn't pick up the phone. Anyone else? First thing you do is you endure it. Don't complain. Don't whine. Don't say, oh my God, why is this so difficult? It's difficult because it's Chan. Chan is supposed to be difficult. It's not supposed to be easy. Easy meditation will bring you nowhere. The reason you progress so quickly is because you have a lot of difficulties that we teach you how to resolve. A lot of obstructions. You can look at the difficulties as obstructions. You know, the shaking, for example, is one obstruction. It's a good thing, but also an obstruction. It creates doubts and fear in your head. Am I going crazy? Am I being possessed by a ghost? Okay? But if you endure long enough, eventually, you understand. Okay? I endured it for years because no one else could help me. So-called China experts couldn't help me. Okay, any other questions? All right, let's pick it up again from Master YongHua's teachings in his 100-day Chan Qi in the 1970s, I think, 71, 72. Yes. 4.
What's the answer for the question? What do we do when we have a problem? To endure or not
Endure. Chan is to endure.
quit? Sorry, I'm confused. Yes, that's what you said. Yes.
Yeah, you have to endure. Chan is the first thing you do when you encounter a problem is don't panic, endure it. Yeah? Don't get afflicted. If you get too afflicted, that's when you get help. And sometimes help comes in the form of endure. Don't worry, endure. Don't worry, keep jumping. Okay. All right, let's get started.
可以开始。然后这是今天我对大家课程学习。我昨天知道了，果群的父亲母亲在西雅图前几天撞车了。
This is what I would like to report to you today. Yesterday, I learned that Guo Jun's parents were involved in a car crash in Seattle a few days ago.
我的父亲口曰骨头的断，这个脊背这个骨也将要断。
His father broke a bone in his leg and will have a limp for life. His bone was broken from the crash.
他母亲也受伤，但是没有那么严重。所以等一等，最后帮他念一念这个佛，那个回向。
His mother was also injured, but not as serious. Later, at the end, we will help him by reciting the Buddha's name and transferring the merits.
就知道这个火寒的姐姐在山这一个，因为开刀还要手术。 用的这个医生不太好。
I also learned that Guohan's sister had an operation in San Diego. The doctor wasn't able to treat the illness.
所以在开刀的期间，也很不幸。
So, very unfortunately, she passed away during the operation. So, we will recite the Buddha's name together for her. This is...
今天我介绍一位从来就没有的这么一位高僧。这位高僧也是晋朝时代的事。
Today, I will introduce an eminent monk unlike anybody we've ever seen. This eminent monk was also from the Jin dynasty.
Okay, let's stop here. Thank you. So today, oh no, that's wrong. Okay, so Master Xinhua, I'm back on slide 82. Master Xinhua said, one of his disciples, Guo Xun, his parents had a car crash, has a car accident in Seattle a few days ago. And the father broke a bone on his leg and would have to limp from now on. And the mom is also injured, although not as serious. And what did they do in order to help them out? He says later at the end of this day's practice here, we will. So he was practicing with them. We will help them by reciting the Buddha's name. Bang ta is probably them, and transferring the merit and virtues to them. Okay, so you see, as part of the Chan practice, when people needed help, they're supposed to help as well. And the help was to recite the Buddha's name. What does it tell you? Merely reciting the Buddha's name is extremely helpful. Practicing Chan alone is not enough. Master Xinhua taught that given their circumstances, then even he would recite the Buddha's name in order to help them. So that explains to you why in our practice as well, we're practicing many, many Dharma doors, even though I advocate to you that we will practice both Chan and Pure Land in parallel to make it easier for you to focus on why we're doing things differently, because Chan is one of the many Dharma doors that are used in Mahayana in order to help you, to help all of you, to train all of you. Okay, when the time comes, we learn all the things you learn here in our temples are designed to help you be able to defend yourself, fend for yourself, take care of yourself, if you have enough skills, or if you even have more advanced skills, or then you're able to help others. Okay, so don't be so one-dimensional thinking that Chan is, you're a Chan, that's it. You don't want to learn anything else because anything else is below Chan. Nothing is further from the truth. Even Master YongHua here, he says, I propose that later, after we're done with our Chan, the Chan practice here today, we will recite the Buddha's name to help them. Why is that? They're probably older. They're probably older. That's why now he says that the husband will limp for the rest of his life, and it's a warning. They're coming for them. They get injured in a car crash, a car accident, and it's something you can't really have much control over. So that's why I think it's not clear here. It's too bad they didn't explain to him, but I would have asked, why recite in Buddha's name? Why can't we recite a mantra or something? And my guess is because he felt that they needed rebirth blessings. And that's more appropriate for that particular couple. You see? When you practice Chan alone, how are you going to give them rebirth blessings? Old people, they need rebirth. They need to pave the way. Okay, second point, you want to pave the way for rebirth. See, the Chinese, this is why the Chinese rebirth Dharma is only, you have to wait until you die. Then we help you. Master Shua is doing it already. He says, I'm going to recite Buddha's name to help you, to pave the way for you. See that? And it's too bad he didn't systematize it to help the next generation. That's why I decided to do it. Make sense to you? So what we're doing is not, don't listen to the idiots who said, Master YongHua is trying to pick your pocket or whatever. He's paving the way for them for rebirth right now. Right then already. Why do you have to wait for him to do it? And after he's gone, no one is doing it anymore. That's it? He only did help one couple. Right? And also, they're lucky that they got out alive with a car accident. In this next case here, there's another disciple of his, Wuhan's sister, had surgery, and whatever the surgery was for, and she died during surgery. And so again, they will recite the Buddha's name now. Now, after they die, when they die, then they recite Buddha's name again. What can Chan do for them? Nothing. Nada. Okay? So you have to keep an open mind. Chan, Chi, and everything here is just a training for you to develop skills, to develop strength. There's a lot more that you need to have in order to take better care of yourself. Okay, and so that's what happened. They passed away. She passed away. So they recited Buddha's name together. Again, if I want to make a criticism at all, it's like he's doing it. It's like Master Hsien said, I would recite Buddha's name to help them out. He doesn't think about what happens after he's gone. Who's going to recite to help them out? That's my problem. I came from the outside world where, as a boss, as a manager, you're supposed to replace people. If you're a good manager, you're a decent manager, you're supposed to find someone to replace you. Same thing in the mindset of the Chan world. You're a Chan master, you're supposed to find someone to replace you. Okay? And so now he's gone. Who's going to recite the Buddha's name for these people who need help? So that's why I feel there's a gaping hole there. And when people needed help, he recited Buddha's name for one couple, and then another woman who died. So a couple before they died, they recited Buddha's name for him. After she died, he recited Buddha's name for her as well. Okay? So you see how powerful the Pure Land Dharma door is. Before you die and after you die. Okay? That's a very important message that's, I think, is lost in the translation. To not pass on to my generation. Okay? And my criticism again is that why didn't he systematize it so that we learn how to do it ourselves instead of having to depend on him? And that's very Chinese. They don't think in terms of like us in the West, Anyway, questions or comments? Okay, so next, he says, I will now tell you about more stories of eminent cultivators, eminent monks, who have successful practices, and we learn from their biographies. All right, it was a famous monk from the Jin dynasty in China. Okay, so this is probably because he sat there and said, what I'm going to talk to them about tonight now. Oh, their legs are in pain, they're sleepy, they're complaining, so what am I to do? So he would read, he uses his spiritual eye and look at it, so I'm going to read this book on the eminent monks. Okay, and this is a good story, appropriate for you. Okay? All right, let's continue, please. Question? Is there a question? Yes, sir, 5.
So, Master, there's several YouTube questions that got glossed over. But Sophia Gu asks, Master, I would like to ask for some instructions on writing out sutras in Chinese. I'm writing out the Avatamsaka Sutra at the moment. I'm not sure if I should be writing it so fast that it forces me to concentrate on not making mistakes in writing out the Chinese characters, or I should write slowly and focus on each stroke of the Chinese character. Thank you, Master.
She's referring to transcribing practice that you read about in the books from Chinese Buddhism, where part of the practice, like some eminent monks in the past, they would write out the Chinese characters of sutras, especially Avatamsaka sutras. Many cases like that in the history of Chinese Buddhism. And some actually went to the extreme of prickling their fingers and then take the blood and mix it with the ink to write out. At first, I read it and I heard of it and said, wow, he used his own blood, because the Chinese said he used his blood to transcribe the Avatamsaka Sutra. So I said, wow, he must have a lot of blood. But no, actually, later I found out he took some blood, and maybe squeeze it out like a lemon, a wedge of lemon, okay. And then mix it with the ink, and then use it to write. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. 4.
Sorry, Master. I think there are actually a lot of cases where they don't use ink because it will look black. They actually use blood with something to prevent the blood clogging. I think that's it.
Coagulating. But then the blood don't last as long as the ink. They will fade a lot very quickly. That's the problem we have when you do it that way. The blood cannot last very long. I saw a guy using his own blood in Canada to write one character to express protest, a young monk. He was so abused by the head monk who I was later went to the same temple, Avatamsaka monastery. That the head monk is famous to be really not a good, a nice monk, very nasty personality. So my predecessor, one of my predecessor, okay, and I was sent there to be punished. And so one of my predecessor was a good monk. He was upset. He was so upset. Okay, he stayed there for like 6 months or a couple of years or something. And he was so upset that one day, okay, he got some blood out of his fingers or whatever part of the body, and he used that to write the word, run. Big red character, run. Patience. It has a Tao, okay, which is the character for knife, over Xin, which is the heart. So you take a knife, like Master Xuan likes to explain it, take a knife and you put it on your heart. Prick your heart like this. Okay? And I saw that. So they hang it, and the head monk was so frightened, he wouldn't dare touch that thing. So they framed it. They put it in the room, in the basement where I was there, because I was a bad novice, so I don't deserve to have a window. And so they put there, and I look at it, oh wow, it's fading. Okay, so I don't think that using blood alone. In some cases, yes, they do use blood alone, but they don't last. They don't last at all.
It's mostly coming from the blood, so people would get to the point where they almost
die.
They got sick. Yeah, they die, and there's some examples of that. But they sort of get really weak, but then kind of magically really regain their strength. That's how the story goes.
Yeah, I heard of such stories too. Okay. But so back then, it's very meritorious to transcribe sutras, particular Avatamsaka Sutra, which is a huge sutra, and for them to dare use their own blood to do it, it's impressive. It's so amazing. Okay. I would not dare do that. I hate pain, And so that's where the practice originated, not because of the blood thing, but because of the fact that there's no printing press. So transcribing thing is not only for yourself, but it's also an offering to the Buddha, and also as to make a copy available for others to be able to read sutras. So the main thing are two things: offering to the Buddha and make it available because there wasn't any printing press. So sutras are very hard to come by. To the transcribe is very, very meritorious. So a lot more people have access to the sutra texts, right? So that's back then. I feel that today I would hesitate to transcribe sutra. Nowadays, when you write sutras with your own hands, it's great because you're practicing calligraphy, so it helps your concentration, so forth. Okay, it's one form of Chan practice. Some of the Chan practices they actually use the calligraphy. I don't particularly care for that kind of training, but anyway, so they use that as to help increase the concentration, but to me, you're still losing out on. It's no longer have the great benefit of making it available, because if you were to type it online, okay, it's a lot more useful. So first of all, I personally don't care for transcribing, only because I'm stupid. I don't know calligraphy, okay? And most of the calligraphy, hey, look at that, sister is here. Hey, hallelujah. And so to me, it's nice to do the thing, because to do calligraphy. But my personal experience has been that the many calligraphy teachers I met in Taiwan and so forth, and those people, I wasn't impressed. That's why I left very unfavorable impression on me. And so, but I can see the use for using the calligraphy to help sharpen your concentration, but it has limitations, okay? So if you like to do that, Sophia likes to do that, fine, go for it, okay? Choose a good sutra, choose a good Mahayana sutra to do that, and will help her. And besides, if it helps her concentration, why not? But it won't. If I want to propagate the text, I would use electronic forms, so that I could put it on Kindle or give it away for free. Yes, 5.
So we have one more YouTube question and one comment. Samson Lau asks, Master, could you share how you were able to recognize your level and blockages at those levels to break through to the next level? Is it important to identify those obstructions, or should we continue to sit and endure through everything that comes our way?
Yes, certainly. I'd be glad to share with you. When I was cultivating on my own, it's only after circumstances that forced me to do so. And in particular, one of my needs when I was cultivating on my own was a fear. I have this huge fear that I'd be going off the wrong path and I wouldn't know. I'd be wasting my life or get in trouble. And so very early on, because Master YongHua wasn't around, even though he promised me that his students, his disciples would be training me, are very good at replacing him to give me instructions on how to meditate and how to cultivate. And it wasn't available. It was a disappointment for me personally. It's not like I was there for 4 days or 4 months. I was there for over 4 years. I begged, okay. And so I left. Circumstances forced me to leave. On I decided it was the best thing for me to go, because they're doing things I disagree. You can punish me, but certain things you cannot take from me. Anyway, especially if I have no respect for you. So I left on my own, and then at that time, as I was before I left, I asked for permission to think about it, okay, to go into seclusion for 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, this is strange for a novice to ask to go for seclusion. And the young abbot of the City of the 10,000 Buddhas was very kind to me. I don't know why he liked me so much. I was not a pleasant person. I wasn't a good novice. I was not a good person. Okay, I would not grant me such myself. If any of you come to me and say, "Can I have 2 weeks of seclusion in Walnut Grove," which is 20 miles away from the City of 10,000 Buddhas, you know what the answer from me would be? Forget it, Joel. Okay, so I went there, and that's why I met Master Hunger. And that's one of the first rare Sangha members under Master YongHua I liked. Anyway, I was meditating every day, and let me tell you, 2 weeks is just a waste of time. Okay, just because you meditate for 2 weeks, just because you read sutras for 2 weeks, good luck. Okay, that's not cultivation at all. Mahayana style, it's not. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I was there, and then I was meditating. I was reading the Master YongHua sutras every day, of course. Okay, and then I ran to something that made me very happy. I ran something that says, "If you are serious about cultivation, and you read sutras, Mahayana sutras, and you don't understand, then Universal Worthy Bodhisattva made a vow." He says, if you cultivate and you're sincere, he will appear and explain the sutras to you. It made me so happy. And then I say, now I can leave. So basically, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva, through Master YongHua, told me, it's okay to go, boy. So that's why after that, I said, I'm determined to leave now. And then something happened after that, so I left. So actually, I was helped by Universal Worthy Bodhisattva. He said, don't worry, I have your back. And then so, but after I left, and I was having a chance, I wandered around with various temples looking for a good no advisor, looking for support. When you're a monk, I never believed in having to find a part-time job to sustain myself, to make ends meet. I said, either the way Master YongHua trained me, I said, either you cultivate full-time or you return to lay life. There's no such a thing as half and half, half-baked, okay? And so the principle behind it is that if you are a good cultivator, the Dharma protectors will step up and support you. If you're not sincere in your cultivation, don't expect anything. Okay? Yeah. So you put to the test. If you're sincere, you will get support. That's a story I learned from Master YongHua and many Chinese cultivators. I love those stories, those types of stories. So I said, no, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to even try to worry about money. And so I wander around from temples to temples, and there's a lot of people offering me to be next in line, for example. They say, stay here with me. I look at my assets. Back then, I'm worth about $20 million. My assets are worth $20 million. And you see, you have the credential, and therefore, be here with me, stay with me. I pass on this on to the next competent person. I said, competence, that's me. Huh? But he made one mistake. He said, the 42 hands and eyes is not real. I said, uh-oh. Then you don't know Buddhism at all. How can I support you? Okay, you can't buy me. Yeah. And so anyway, so I got many few offers, good offers, and I never took them on, because I knew when it's time for me, I believe it's time for me to practice. If I could not understand the sutras, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva will step up. I'm safe. Huh? And so I wandered to places, from places to places, and finally I was able to come back here because of my parents. I could have stayed in Taiwan because Taiwan's support structure for monks and nuns is excellent. They have everything. Once a year we give them new clothes. Many of my clothes are like from back at that time. Half of my clothes were from that time, and given by the Taiwanese faithful. Every year comes the Pravarana times, this end of summer retreat. They give us, each one of us, a set of clothes and shoes and whatever. Okay, and so they're very generous. That's why I'm very grateful for that. And so I didn't have to worry about money, and every month they give us a stipend. Comes out that converted to about $85 back then. Okay, and so we have good food, and we have room and board, free room and board, and so forth. The Taiwanese, you move to big temples, you are expected to work 2 hours a day. The rest of the time, you do whatever you want. No one will touch you. So you have a lot of freedom, very comfortable. Each room has their own bathrooms. Okay? The rich temples are well-to-do. And so many famous Dharma masters in Taiwan are very well supported. So they sponsor a lot of monks and nuns in their spiritual practice. Look at that. And now he's going into Taekwondo. And that's Tai Chi. Anyway, and so I wandered around. I said, wow, I was very tempted to stay there because I was so stupid. I thought I would just meditate the rest of my life. That's all I wanted to do. Lucky I didn't. And I said, my parents are old, and disciples are monks and nuns with Master YongHua, so I better go back and watch them from afar, make sure they're okay, and step up if I needed help. And so I came back, and I was able to meditate every day. So you see, that's a background information. You see, you travel around, and then when it's time for me to sit down, I could have given up. I could have chosen to stay in Taiwan, be comfortable the rest of my life. I said, no, I can't do this. I can't ignore my parents. So I came back. And then I said, now I have a need. Okay, I have Master YongHua to explain sutras to me. I have no need for Universal Worthy Bodhisattva yet. Okay, I will study Master YongHua's teachings. He's my teacher. I looked for a good no advisor. I could not find anyone. So I said, you're my teacher. So I will follow you first. Okay? Never mind by anyone else. You're my teacher. I will listen to you first. I will learn from you first. Okay? And then so I listen to his sutras and his dharmas every single day, an hour without fail, every single day, 1 hour at least. And then I meditated the rest of the time. And now my problem is that, what if I go off on the wrong path? How do I know I'm improving? So back then, I had this need that's not about understanding sutras, because I have total faith in Master YongHua. But my need was to know my level. That's all. I said, I need to recognize where I'm at. So there's this serious need. This burning desire to know where I'm at. Okay, it's not like you wanting like I want to get married, or I want to make money. No, this is about life for me, life and death. Because if I could not know where I was going, I could be wasting my life, and that's not acceptable to me. So somehow, because of that need, I picked up information from Master YongHua's teachings, here and there, everywhere. And I realized, oh, that's where I'm at. The information in sutras that he explained gave me a roadmap of what they are. And so I said, oh, so when I was at CTTB, I look back and say, so I was at CTTB and being bored to death. What happened to Ivy? Is she here? Okay, anyway, I was bored to death participating in the Wanyin Chi there, because I don't like it when I feel that people are stupid, more inferior than me, telling me what to do. In my world, it's not acceptable. It's my problem. I only see them from a worldly perspective, don't see them from their spiritual strength and wisdom. Anyway, I was bored out of my mind. So I was walking around the Buddha Hall, city of 10,000 Buddhas. Oh my God, I do not like Wanyin at all. Why does she make me go through this? And I was walking around, I was complaining and whining, and oh my God, I can't wait for this over and go back to my school where I can hide, because I was a very good teacher. I was well known to be a teacher, one of the better teachers in the school. At the high school they have there, in the city of 10,000 Buddhas. So I said, I don't have a class right now, so I have to wait until class time. I sneak out. So I said, okay, let's do it. I was walking. All of a sudden, as I was walking there, I remember this side here, that the CTT Buddha Hall right there, the big Buddha Hall. The men's side's on this side, and so when I was walking right there, about in that relative area right there, I enter samadhi. I said, wow, I enter samadhi. And immediately, you know what happened? Oh no, I'm going to bump into someone and they're going to complain and get me in trouble. I immediately exited samadhi. I was living in fear, let me tell you. And so I entered samadhi because I said, oh wow, everything disappeared. And then, oh no, how do I know someone's walking in front of me? Immediately got out. And I didn't realize that I was entering samadhi. I thought, anyway, I'm glad I didn't get in trouble. So later on, when I was meditating, I looked back and said, oh, that was first dhyana. And then I went to Long Beach Monastery, okay, and then I was meditating there with those idiots. And I call idiots because they make pretend. They say, I'm a cultivator, I know. Only idiots pretend to know, okay? Anyway, or think they know. You have wisdom, you tell them, I don't know, okay? Anyway, so I was sitting and meditating with them. And what happened is that my body disappeared. And then I remember that experience. Yeah. And then so I look back at those times. Oh, that's second dhyana, because I later learned how to recognize from the sutra teachings. Yeah. And so that second dhyana. Oh wow. So and then I continue on my own. Those are my two reference points. Okay. Yeah. And then later I was practicing on my own and confused like heck, don't know what to do, didn't know what to do. So what did I do? I grinded it out like right now. You guys are doing, In the morning, I got up, I would sit all day. Okay. Take a break, half an hour break to cook some rice cooker there, and the Chinese rice cooker, and throw some vegetables, carrots, and tofu there in a rice. Okay, so you cook and would eat, and I was very precise. Every day, I would cook rice. Okay, 1 cup of rice. Okay, yeah, it's a big rice cooker too. So that's all we have. So when the cooked rice came out to be like this. I'm sorry. Do you want to go to eminent monks, or I'm taking a lot longer? So every day, every time I cook rice, it's about this thin layer of rice. Okay, after it's cooked, and because Master YongHua taught that you're supposed to eat less than normal. Did I tell you that? Eat less. 60% of what you normally eat. Too late now? So I was cutting back to 8 when I cooked rice, okay? They come out to be this much, I would slice them into like 3 or 4 pieces. No, 4 pieces or 6 pieces. I don't remember anymore, okay? And then every day I would eat only 1 slice. I starved myself. Every day is like that. I was so happy, let me tell you. It tasted so good. I would go buy cabbage, from a supermarket, Asian supermarket, where the bosom thing happened. I go there often. And then, I would slice a cabbage and throw in a pot, a rice pot. So when it's cooked, it's all cooked together. Okay, and then I would eat that, and that's all I would eat. I would eat on, and it was the happiest times of my life. So I was eating things like that, and I was meditating, and I was confused. I said, okay, so he said, I'm supposed to eat less or eat less? I'm supposed to listen to him for an hour a day, or listen 1 hour a day? And then I learned from a Chanchi here at the city, 10,000 Buddhas, get up at 3, and you finish at midnight. I said, okay, so I did that as well, every single day. And one day, I sit there, all of a sudden, okay, I enter samadhi. I said, that's number 3. Oh, are we in trouble? Because 3, you get stuck. So I said, let's get out of here. So I work even harder. I said, oh my God. Sleep even less. And then within 2.5 days, I made it to 4th. And after that, I could recognize. And all those are, so the short answer to the question, I'm sorry it took so long, is because it's really out of need. I have the need to do it. And that's how I naturally developed the ability. Very much like you practitioners now, the Master YongHua disciples say, I want to read people's mind. I want to know where you came from, what you did last lifetime or last year, or last week or whatever. Okay, And that's what they're curious about. And that's how they develop the ability. For me, I have zero interest in those things. I only needed to know where I was so that I don't get lost. That's all. And later on, after I was told to teach by Master YongHua, and I started teaching you, and I recognized your levels. Oh, that's what I was too. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it got better and better. That's all. Okay. So eventually, there's a principle behind it. The principle is that if there's a certain way to develop spiritual penetrations, but don't be greedy for spiritual penetrations. All the people who develop spiritual penetrations, including Master YongHua disciples, they got in trouble because they feel they're special. They're so cool. Let me see. Oh, you drank some Modelo now last week, didn't you? Or they fly, they use astral body to fly and spy on you. Say, oh my God, you have been cheating on your wife. What am I going to do now? Nonsense. Why would people infringe on others' privacy? In America, we highly value and respect people's privacy. I do. Whatever you do in your private life, I will stay out. I have no interest in knowing. Zero interest. Absolutely not. It's your life. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, if you want to tell me about it, I'd be glad to hear. So whatever you want me to know, you can tell me. You don't want to tell it to me to know, don't tell me, that's all. I don't need to pry it out of you or invade your privacy. There's no need for that. What for? It's your private life. What do I want? It means nothing to me. Okay. So anyway, so that's a process. Actually, there's a principle behind how you develop spiritual powers. But however, don't go for it unless you have real wisdom. I go for wisdom first. The way I train you is develop your samadhi power first, wisdom first. And then one day, when you decide to help and work and you need certain skills, you naturally will develop them. That's all. Don't be greedy. I'm not impressed by spiritual penetrations. I remember when I was younger, I loved martial arts. And there's this Vietnamese guy, martial artist, who would go around and heal people. He uses this qi here to unblock people's qi blockages, and he made a lot of money. But he's also his claim to fame was that he has these neat tricks. Like, would you believe? I think we're veering off the wrong things. Should I be gossiping about this and you want to hear it? You do? God, you guys are horrible. What kind of child cultivators are you? Seriously? Okay. Would you believe that I'm told, I never watched it, but I'm told by the people who are very, very, very credible, who have authority on it, he would take a spear, a flexible spear, pointed head. You could stick it into an apple, it goes in the apple. He stick it into his here. What do you call it? What do you call this? This thing here. You take a finger, you stick it in, you kill someone. It's very simple. You want to kill your spouse, you wait till he's asleep, you go, tuck, and he won't wake up. Or she won't wake up. Well, that's a different story. But the point is that this space here is extremely dangerous. Okay? So you take a spear, He would put it here, and he lean against it, and the spear would bend. The blade would bend. Impressive, isn't it? And then, now raise interest, look at that. and then he would go around do this demonstration, a lot of tricks he pulled. He takes his finger here, one finger, stick into a coconut. Index finger. You're not impressed. How about this? How about this? This is in Vietnam, okay? So they have these old jeeps, the old jeeps, the military jeeps you see in movies, like the Apocalypse Now and so forth. Those kind of jeeps, the old style. And then he would lie on the stage and have a jeep drive over him. He would not die. Okay? And he would get up. 4,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds on your chest. Yeah, cool? So I was so impressed. I was telling this another master, and I said, wow, he's so cool. And this other master, he chuckled and he said, yeah, it's so cool for show. Okay? Yeah. But it's easy for you to break a brick because the brick doesn't fight you back. Okay? These people, I will tell you, boy, tell you, son, that they would never get into a fight or a duel because they die. They cannot defend themselves. So there are two kinds of martial arts. One is that you practice for show, like he does. The other one, you practice to kill. You understand? That's spiritual penetration. You impress. You see? That's why. Well, yeah, it's cool to have all those things, but then can you defend yourself? Can you really help people? How did we get here again? So it's fun to do Shaolin and all those things. Yeah. Shaolin skills are real, though. Okay. Continue. Continue, please.
今天我介绍一位从来就没有的这么一位高僧。这位高僧也是晋朝时代的事。
Today, I will introduce an eminent monk unlike anybody we've ever seen. This eminent monk was also from the Jin dynasty.
他这个是在长山那个地方住，他居家姓魏，这一个高僧生来就很不幸。
He lived in Chong Mountain, and his secular surname was Wei. This eminent monk was born very unfortunate.
生来，他父亲和母亲很早就死了。他的名字叫什么呢？道安。
His father and mother died very early in his life. What was his name? It was Dharma Master Daoan.
这位道安法师，他住在这个长安五居寺。父亲母亲很早就死了。
Dharma Master Daoan lived in Wuji Temple of Chang'an. His father and mother died very early in his life.
他的舅舅的儿子来把他养大。他舅舅是这个姓孔。
His uncle's son raised him. His uncle's surname was Kong.
把他养大，等他到7岁那个时候，就读书。
He brought him up. When he was 7 years old, he started his education.
可是他读书读2遍就可以完全背得出来，完全的记，所以读书读得非常快。
When he read a book, he could recite it after reading twice. He could memorize it completely, so he was a fast study.
在这个乡村的人呢，都认为这一个小孩子是很特别的，有天纵，特别聪明。
People in this village thought this little child was very special, that he was gifted and very smart.
等到他年12岁的时候，他就出家了。出家，他更加聪明，比以前更聪明。
When he was 12 years old, he left the home life. After he left the home life, he became smarter than before.
可是人呢，没有十全十美的，什么事情呢？你这样好，那样不好，那样好，这样也不好。
But no one can be perfect. With anything, if you excel here, then you are not good there. If you are good there, then you are not good here.
他有什么不好的地方呢？相貌很丑陋，相貌特别丑陋，不好看。
What was wrong with him? He was very ugly, hideously ugly, not good looking.
那个面的皮肤啊，就和现在黑人一样，啊，就好像黑人。
So racist.
所以以后，一般的出家人都叫他叫西道。
It's so Chinese. I don't think a lot of people would find it funny here, but I do. I know. For someone to call pale face or black face, what's the difference?
His skin was like nowadays African American people. So later, ordinary sanghas all called him, and I apologize for this, paint cultivator of the way.
Is that a good translation? Huh? This is actually, it's black, right? It's not paint face. It actually is black face cultivator. Please don't laugh. It's not that funny. Continue.
西道人就好像油漆，这种是黑色的那个漆。
He hasn't really rub it in.
西道人，西道人就是黑的呀，黑道人，黑道人。
I swear to you, this is the first time I heard this, okay? Shame on you. Go on. Why do you keep on saying this? It's so Chinese, you know, they have no clues. Hey, Laura. Black cultivator.
It was a different time. Okay. Paint cultivator of the way was like this paint, black paint, very dark. This paint cultivator of the way was black cultivator of the way.
Why does it keep on repeating this? I don't think you find it funny, right? Xiao Tai. It's not funny, is it? See, he's so politically correct. The rest of us are not. Okay. Oh no.
他很丑陋的，那么就令人很不注意他。谁一看见这个人就很讨厌，这么丑陋。
They allow such people to live a home life? Serious? I'm kidding.
He was so ugly.
How ugly was he? Yeah.
He was so ugly that people didn't notice him. Whoever saw him would be annoyed. So ugly.
啊，没有一个这个女人欢喜的，没有女人欢喜的，因为她太丑陋了。这个女人一看她，就赶快把头上。
A woman liked him because he was so ugly. As soon as a woman saw him, she would quickly turn her head away.
然后这样子呢，也有它的好处，就没有女人来磨他，他修行呢，没有女人来磨他。
Ah, this is also his advantage. There was no woman bothering him. He cultivated without women bothering him.
I can think of all the ways to cultivate without being bothered. And anyway, different strokes for different folks.
不要讨厌女人，这个女人也不接近。所以他就很容易用功修行。
He didn't need to loathe woman, and no woman would go near him. So it was very easy for him to apply efforts and cultivate.
这因为相貌生得很丑陋啊，不但女人不欢喜他，连他自己的师傅也不欢喜。
Because he was ugly, not only women didn't like him, his own master didn't like him either.
他自己的师傅也一天到晚就也不愿意见他，不愿意见这个徒弟。
Master didn't want to see him all day long, didn't want to see this disciple.
He must be so ugly.
那么他干什么呢？就到田里去种田，做苦工，或者做个驱乌沙弥。驱乌沙弥，驱乌就是赶那个乌鸦的沙弥。
Then what did he do? He went to the field to farm, to do hard work, or be a chase away crows Shramanera. He is the Shramanera who chased away the crows.
Okay, stop. Okay, we don't have enough time here. Okay, that's let's talk about this Master Dao An. And so Master Dao An parents passed away, and he's lucky he found some relative who raised him. And gave him education. Okay, so back then, to be able to read is a very important skill to have. It's necessary for you to learn to study Buddhism. And so, very good at a very early age, he learned how to read. But not only could he read, he has photographic memory. He read it once. Like Master Hsuan, for example, he has photographic memory. He would memorize it. And so he's very considered to be very gifted and smart. Okay, and after at the age of 12, he left the home life, and he became smarter and smarter than before. Why? Because he developed more samadhi power. His samadhi power increased. That's how he became smarter and smarter and smarter. So he's actually an excellent cultivator. And let me spell it out for you. When your samadhi power increases, you're smarter and smarter and smarter. That's what he says here. That's what he means. So he's improving very quickly because he's a young boy. He's trained in the Chinese way of China training. They improve very, very fast. Okay? And every time he improved, every time his samadhi power increased, his mind is faster. That's why he's smarter. Smarter. Smart is basically seeing, thinking faster than others. Yes? That's it. That's why the word if you call it smart actually means your mind is fast. Okay, faster. So that's why when you practice Chan and your power, samadhi power increases, actually you're smarter and therefore you're more productive at work, for example. Okay, no two ways about it. And it works for everyone, anyone. You can see problems a lot faster. You can solve problems a lot quicker than before. Okay, and that I've seen it in so many of my disciples. All right, and then, but he has a weakness. He is kind of ugly. Not just ugly, but hideously ugly. Okay, and Master Hsuan likes to really rub it in. It's like his black-faced cultivator. Okay, and because he repeated, the skin is very, very dark, and so ugly that people didn't want to see him at all, including his own master. And in particular, the master says, since he's so ugly, no women took interest in him, and people would turn their heads away. That's how ugly he was. Seriously? I think he's exaggerating a little bit, but to make a point, okay, make a point that that's what happens quite often is that the monks they cultivate and they become nicer and become kinder, and women are drawn to the monks. It's typical of the temples. They come to the temple and say, "Oh my God, how come the monk is so nice and gentle? Much more than my boyfriend, much more than my husband." Okay, and top of it, he kind of looks nice too. Whereas this guy here may be nice, maybe gentle, but he's so ugly, no one wants to look at him. And for the people that draw women, in order for them to continue to cultivate, this is, you think it's funny, but this is what happens to us. He didn't need to loathe women. It's a struggle, So they, in particular, when you at the temple and you practice and the way the lifestyle there is very peaceful, very, very normal, or the typical lifestyle of the monks there. And therefore, when the opposite sex comes, whether it's men or women, they stir things up in the temple naturally. Okay, and so what they need to do is to find a way to renounce it, to renounce such feelings. It's a struggle, okay? And for him, it's no struggle. So he has less of an issue in cultivation. All right? And it's not necessarily the best thing to me, okay? And because some people, the way the Master Hsuan and the Chinese put it is that they don't have to deal with the opposite sex. Okay? And what about us? We're here in the cities. We are, we open ourselves to the public. We don't have this luxury. So are we at a disadvantage? Not necessarily. Not at all. I don't feel it's a disadvantage at all. So that's why Master XinHua set the rule of witness, always three people talking. Okay? As I have more young people coming, I want to insist on that. You hear? Okay? Because when you have three people, it's less chances for emotions to grow unchecked. But when you talk to, and I saw violations there at Master XinHua's temples. When you have one-to-one, it's easy for emotions to arise. Okay? And so I don't feel it's a disadvantage. And if you don't allow the feelings to arise, then it's really not a disadvantage at all. Whereas these people, when they don't have to deal with that problem, later, the problem is only delayed. Okay? So there's always plus and minuses, advantages and disadvantages in such a case. Okay? And even not just women didn't like him, the old master didn't like him either. I didn't want even to talk to him or see him. So therefore, how is he going to learn? Okay, how is he going to be taught? So what did he do for a kid? He was basically a scarecrow. That's what they know when they joined the temple back then in China. When they're young, they are not really trained. They just are given the chance and time to grow up, and then they go to the field and scare the crows away, because the temples used to cultivate the fields to feed the people, and so the young novices, the shamaneras, would go and chase the crows away, or trying to destroy the crops, and Master XinHua didn't explain this, and he has it easy as well. He doesn't have to loathe crows. Crows were loathing him because he's so ugly and blacker than crows. I'm kidding. Please forgive me. I couldn't help it. You don't find it funny. When Master XinHua does it, you find it funny. When I do it, you're offended. Seriously? There's the double standards? I can't joke about black-faced people? Okay. And so we continue next time of 107. Thank you, everyone. Okay.